Current time, 2 a.m. It's July 19th. Why am I up, you may ask? Why am I making a video when I'm stupid tired, you may ask? This video is incredibly important. So, in my community tab, I know a lot of you don't follow it, I had posted this letter. One second, let me fold it up to hide all the private information. Right there. So what exactly is that? Well, it was Monday, no, it would have been Tuesday or Wednesday. It was Tuesday. So Tuesday, which would have been July 14th, we get this memo. I should probably give you some background. What I do is I haul freight for USPS. How that works is freight comes into the state, it goes to a main state hub. From the main state hub, trucks pick it up and they deliver it to the zip codes. Like you got your 539 zip code, etc., etc., etc. 549. Anyways, it gets to that particular zip code, and then at that zip code it gets broken up by towns, and then it goes on trucks again, and it goes to the post offices. That's what I do. Then after it gets to the post offices, it's sorted, the carriers take it out and deliver it to houses. Then at night, the carriers pick up, and then you take all the mail that was dropped off at the post office, you pick it up, you throw it on your truck, you go to the next post office, you load that post office on your truck, you go down the line, and then you drop it off at the main hub, and then their trucks meet you, and then they take it to the main distribution center, and then it either goes out of state or it goes back through the process the next day. That's how your mail service basically works. It's a giant relay. It's incredibly inefficient. Anyway, I get this letter, and what this letter is instructing is me, all the rural carriers, everybody in my particular state. Now, from what I understand, this is countrywide. Some big, they use like military terms, but like Grand Postmaster General or something like that came in and he was like, we are no longer doing late slips. So let's say your mail comes into the state and it's during Christmas or during a pandemic where there's a lot of mail. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer because there's more mail to get everything sorted and loaded onto the truck. And then you get something called the late slip. What they do is they just pay you to sit around there a little bit more because every time is divided up. You have to start by this time, you have to end by this time. Anything above and beyond that, you get a little bit more money. So they give him a late slip while that just goes right down the line. So then it would show up at the zip code. Because he was late, the zip code goes late. So then they get late slips. And then it goes down to the carriers. Obviously there's more mail, it took a little bit longer to get there, so then they get late slips. What that new order is we are no longer allowed late slips. So what basically is going to happen is he's going to load up. When his due out time happens, he closes his door. Any mail that's left behind is left behind. It's saved for the next day. Then he goes to the zip code. We'd load up. If there's a lot of mail and we can't load it in time, we close our door and we leave mail there. Then it goes to the post office. If the carriers can't get it out on time, they pull the plug on it. They come back to the post office. Any mail that's not done yet gets left for the next day. I come in there at night. If they got a whole bunch of mail for me and I can't load it up from that post office in time, I leave the mail there. And I had posted that letter for two major points. One, to discuss the monopoly. Two, to discuss what's going to happen with your mail service. What the implications are to you. First, let's talk about the monopoly. So, for these trucks to run, what they are is they're private contracted. How it's supposed to work and how it works is two different things. How it's supposed to work is they put the contract out for the general public. The general public, they get pre-approved to bid on these contracts. They get pre-approved by basically proving that they can, in fact, produce a truck and run this particular contract. Depending on if it's a straight truck or a tractor trailer, it's different amounts. So you'd go to the bank, you'd get a pre-approval for X amount of dollars. Now, you don't have to spend that money on a truck. You just have to show that in a worst-case scenario, you could take this money and buy a brand new truck. I believe it was like $250K or something like that you had to get pre-approved for. Then that allows you to bid on the contracts. You say what you're willing to run it for. They look at everybody else's bids. And then what they do is they take the cheapest possible bid and they'd have that guy run. Well, if he fails, then it goes back up for bid. Or if he bid it too cheap, it goes back up for bid. It's a whole public thing. Well, a while back, it would have been like 2004-ish, somewhere in there, they decided that we are no longer going to let the... it was later than 2004. 2004 is when they started talking about the one contractor. What their ultimate goal was is to not have contractors anymore, like multiple contractors. There'd be one contractor that would run everything. Somebody high up the food chain had an invested interest in contract driving and said, hey, we're only going to have one contractor because they want all the contracts. So they get all that government money and no one else has a chance for it. Then later on, like 2010 somewhere, my timing, this has been over a huge period of time. So then in like 2010-ish, maybe a little bit later, maybe 2015, to help move towards that one contractor so that one particular person can take all the money, they decided nobody can no longer bid on the contracts. They are not open to the general public. You have to already have a contract in order to bid on another contract. So you have to already be in the game to stay in the game. If you get out, you're done. Nobody else can come in. And what that's going to do over time is as people die off, people quit, people retire, there's less and less contractors, and then they get their one contractor. And then they up the ante again in 2000. This was like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, something like that. If I want to bid on a contract, I have to add that contract to my existing contract. So let's say I'm doing 539 and I want to bid on a 545 route. I would have to add that to my 539 route. So that would make those two separate contracts a single contract. So what that does is it's working towards getting the single contractor. In the end, what they want is somebody to come through and be able to have all the contracts and just name a price. They are completely unchallenged. They can't be challenged by anyone. They just name a price of what they're going to run the mail for, and it's uncontested. Even right now, there's getting so few contractors in the particular zip codes, they can basically name what they want to run it for. If it's way ridiculous, then they'll try to get some contractor from a different state to come in and bid on it, but that's next to impossible to do, so that just doesn't happen. So currently, right now, the contractors, it's a monopoly. It's a government-run monopoly. And it's not being challenged because everybody's getting paid all fat. And that's what I wanted to throw out there because that should be challenged. If you have the ability, you should start up a class action lawsuit and challenge this monopoly and have it disassembled. It needs to be a free market. If you want to become a contractor, you should be able to become a contractor as long as you pre-approve. Basically, you go to the bank, you get pre-approved for however many dollars they want for that particular contract, which is basically the cost of a brand new truck, and then you can bid on it and you can get in the game if you choose to. Everybody should have a fair roll. Everybody should have a shot at the dice. That's just the way it's supposed to work, and it's not. They turned it into a monopoly. So the next part of that particular post was to talk about the implications of your service. So what does this letter imply for you? How will this affect you? It will affect you in two different ways. One, the monopoly I was talking about earlier. Now that's not directly related to this letter, but it still needs to be addressed. Because we can basically name what we want to run for and nobody can challenge us, it's just bringing shipping costs through the roof, like making it crazy high. And they're doing this because a company cannot run. If I'm a sole proprietor and I go bid on the route, I can underbid any company because I'm not paying labor, I'm running my own truck, I already own my own truck, so there's no way a bigger company can come in and bid on these contracts. With that eliminating it and jacking up the cost of how much it costs to do this, bigger companies can come in because now they can say, I want $4 a mile, I want $5 a mile, and then they can afford to pay a person, they can afford to pay benefits, they can afford to pay to have a runner car, stuff like that. And that's affecting you because that's raising the cost of stamps, raising the cost of shipping. It worked for years, like since the beginning of the post office being a free market. Now that it's this way, it's looking at bankruptcy, it's no longer functioning anymore, the cost of shipping is just going up through the roof, and that's the first way it affects you. The second way, hypothetically speaking, we're going to pretend it's Christmas time. Usually about the week before and the week after Christmas is when this is really relevant. You are towards the end of your route. There is a scheduled route. They have a contract exactly how that route needs to be run. They can't run it in reverse. They can't do anything like that. It gets run in a very specific way. They take specific turns. There's no changing it. Now, they might cheat the contract and run it in reverse and stuff to cheat it just because they'd feel guilty. But that's up to them. But they are breaking their contract then. So if you live at the end of this said route and it's Christmas time, and the driver's going through, all of a sudden he hits his clock out time and he's only halfway through his route, he has to turn and go back to the post office. These houses don't get mail. What he's supposed to do is save it for the next day. So now he's going through his route again, gets a little bit farther. Let's say he makes it 2 more houses down, but he's got twice the load he would normally have because he had to ditch the mail before. Turns around and goes back. You could be looking at like 2 or 3 weeks with no mail service whatsoever because you're at the end of the route. Your letter's going out. I'm picking up because I have to abandon that mail and I'm supposed to load priority first and then go on and go down the line to the priority of the mail. If there's that much mail, it's very possible your mail might be sitting at the post office for weeks through the whole Christmas period. You don't know because this is new, it's not tested out yet, so no one really knows anything. So now the point of this video. Why am I making this video? I got challenged a couple hours ago. It was from a person that really has no authority over me, but that's not how the post office works. It doesn't really matter who's got authority. They can cause a stink. How am I related to the post office? I'm not. I'm not a part of the postal union. I'm not paid by the post office. I wasn't hired by the post office. And I can't, well, theoretically, they can do things to get rid of me if I'm like a pain in the ass or a nuisance. But I've been doing my job for over 6 years. Believe me, if I was a pain in the ass or I wasn't good at my job, I would have been gone a long ass time ago. The only link I have to the post office at all is that I'm doing my job on postal property and they give me a badge so I can access the post offices. That's it. I have no affiliation whatsoever with the post office. So this particular person somehow had seen my YouTube post. Freaked out about it. Said that you're probably going to lose your job if you don't take it down. Your dad's probably going to lose his contracts if you don't take it down. Well, my dad losing his contracts, my YouTube channel is my private account. He has no say what is or is not on my YouTube channel. So that's just ridiculous. Like I said, this person basically has no authority over me, but just in case, that's why I'm making this video. So what are the possible outcomes? What will happen? And this will probably happen tomorrow. That's why I'm making the video right now. Number 1, I lose my job. Possible, but not very likely. I just don't see that happening. Number 2, delay job loss. Now this is very possible. They could be like, okay, because of that whole letter post, and now this video, yeah, we can't fire him for that, so what we'll do is we'll start looking for problems. And if you look for a problem for someone long enough, you will find them. It don't matter how good of an employee they are, you will find a problem. You just gotta look. Somewhere, somehow, they will stumble up, and that will be your opportunity, and you will get fired. So what that is delayed job loss. Now, to lose me right away, they'd have to have my dad can me. And that's why I don't think that would happen. However, they can give me 5500s until because you're allowed 3 of them a year. That's 3 mistakes. And let's be honest. Anybody, any employer whatsoever, can find 3 mistakes in an employee in a 12-month period. It's not possible to be mistake-free. We're human. We make mistakes. So this is probably a very likely situation. Delayed job loss, they'll just hit me with 3 5500s within a 12-month period, and then I lose my badge. Without my badge, I no longer have the ability to go into a post office. Without the ability to go into a post office, I can't do that job anymore because you got to have the ability to go into the post office. Number 3, my dad loses his contracts. This just isn't going to happen. It's not realistic at all, but, we got to go through all the possibilities. Number 4, forced video removal and forced post removal. What we're going to do to prevent this is I'm giving you permission. Now, I don't know if there's a way I can do it in the analytics so you don't get any copyright strikes or anything like that. But I am giving you permission to take this video and upload it to your channel. Don't tell me you uploaded it to your channel because I don't want to know how many copies are out there, and I don't want to know who has the copies. This way, it will be impossible for them to remove this information from the internet. But there's websites you can go to that'll rip this video off, or I think if you have Google or YouTube Red, you can just download the video, upload it to your channel, put in parentheses in the title Mear, and I believe that will excuse you. You can use the same thumbnail if you want. Just take this video and upload it to your channel. I want so many copies out there, the information can't be stopped anymore. This way, even if I wanted to remove the video, I couldn't. Because I just don't know. I don't know who has it, how many copies are out there. It is impossible. I absolutely could not remove it. Now, if they were like, hey, we want you to remove your post and your video, obviously, with me being me, I'm going to go tell them to kick rocks. Because that's just how I am. But if I do that, that will also bring me back up to option number 1. They're like, remove the video and post, or we're taking your job. We're going to pull your badge. Which is a possibility. But now, see, the law is on my side. Oh, I want to make it clear right now. I am not a lawyer. I am not giving legal advice. And if you take legal advice from me, you're stealing. I am in no way, shape, or form giving any sort of legal advice. I don't study the law. I don't know the law. This is my rough understanding. So we got the Data Act of 2009, which states any government agency must be transparent. The post office is a government agency. On that particular letter, it does not say eyes only. It does not say confidential. It does not say private. It does not say only to or only read by or do not share. Plus, they gave the letter to me. I am not a postal employee whatsoever. So if that was a confidential letter, it is no longer a confidential letter because they handed it off to the general public. But even if I wasn't a postal employee, because of the Data Act, you guys should be privy to this information if you want it. All you should have to do is file a... Oh, I forgot how this is pronounced. FOIA request. And you guys should be able to go right now, file a FOIA request, and get this letter. It is not a confidential letter. Under the Freedom of Information Act, you guys are entitled to knowing the information off this letter because this affects you. And that is a government agency. The law is on my side on this one. So, forced video removal? It's probably not going to happen. But I could lose my job. I will probably lose in the short game by losing my job. But in the long game, I should be able to take legal action or something like that because I got Freedom of Information Act on my side, I got the Data Act on my side, and I am not a postal employee. By the post office, because this is the exact letter they handed me, by the post office handing me this letter, they have distributed this letter to the general public because I am not on the Postal Union. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, shape, or form, except for they gave me a badge with a picture on it so I could access the post office. They distributed it to the public. What they're trying to do is stop me from blowing a whistle to letting the general public, which I am part of the general public, know about that because they would write their congressmen. You guys should write your congressmen and be like, I am not happy with the way the post office is run. There's no reason for these delays in the mail. There's no reason for the monopoly of the post office. We need to change this. You guys need to write your congressmen about this if you're not happy. The fifth answer. Once cooler heads are exposed to the situation and know what's going on, they tell this person that has no authority over me to let it go. We're not doing anything. It doesn't really matter if this information gets out there because anybody could file a FOIA request and get the information. Due to the Data Act, the general public is privy to this information. As a matter of fact, the right way to do this would be drop one of these in everybody's P.O. box so they know what the hell's going on. So I'll do an update video. I'm sure by the end of the week, I'll know what the hell's going on. If I still have my job, if I'm getting fired, where I'm going from there. Just wanted to get you guys on board. I'm hoping I have your support through this. I'd really like to hang on to my job because change is hard. I don't want things to change. Yes, I could theoretically move along if I'm collecting unemployment and with my YouTube money, but it would put me in a pretty hard space. I'd just barely be scratching by. But anyway, thank you for watching. In the description of this video, when I do an update video in the future, I'll have a link to it. If you'd like to check out any of my other videos, click on the links up here. If you'd like to help support the channel, I got my Patreon. I also have affiliate links in the description down below. Even if you don't buy what that link is for, just click it on that link and doing the Amazon shopping you were going to do anyway. I got a little kickback for it because you went there off my channel. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.